Ladies and gentlemen, it's so good to be with you today. I believe you're not here by accident, you're here on purpose for a purpose. You may have been hurt, overlooked, underestimated, maybe even betrayed. But I want to remind you today, the best revenge is not anger. It's not payback, it's becoming everything they said you couldn't be. See, when people wrong you, when life tries to push you down, it's easy to want to get even. But friend, God didn't create you to live bitter, to carry around resentment. No, He created you to rise higher, to grow stronger, to shine brighter. And when you focus on improving yourself, on becoming your best, you don't just move past the pain, you outgrow it. So I want to talk to you today about letting go of the need to prove them wrong and choosing instead to prove yourself right. Right about your purpose, right about your value, right about your future. Silence your critics with success, not words. This idea goes against our natural impulse. When someone doubts us, insults us, or underestimates our potential, we instinctively want to respond. We want to argue, to explain ourselves, to prove them wrong right there and then. But words don't always carry the weight we think they do. Words can be twisted, ignored, dismissed. Actions, though results, transformation, progress, those are undeniable. They speak louder, last longer, and reach further than any comeback ever could. When someone criticizes you or counts you out, the most powerful response isn't to engage in debate, it's to do better. It's to rise up so high they can't even see you anymore from where they're standing. You don't need to convince them with explanations. Just show them with elevation. When you choose to focus on your path and channel that energy into building a better you, the need for revenge dissolves into satisfaction of self-mastery. Because the real victory isn't changing their mind, it's changing your life. People will talk, let them. People will doubt you, let them. They might mock your dreams, laugh at your ambitions, and try to box you into their own small thinking, but you don't have to play in their sandbox. You weren't created for their limitations. You were designed for more. So instead of arguing back, instead of letting their opinions take root in your heart, get to work. Let their disbelief fuel your discipline. Let their negativity push you closer to your goals. When you're grinding in silence, showing up every day, working on your craft, your habits, your mindset, something beautiful is happening. You're becoming the proof. You're turning every you can into watch me. And by the time they realize what you've done, you'll be too far ahead for it to even matter. That's how success works. It doesn't shout back. It doesn't waste time clapping back on social media. Success keeps climbing until the noise below gets so faint, it disappears altogether. There's something incredibly powerful about restraint, about not reacting. It takes strength to be silent in the face of disrespect. But that silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's strategy. Because when you refuse to be distracted by drama, you conserve your energy for your real battles. And the real battle isn't proving them wrong, it's proving yourself right. It's showing up for your future, staying committed to your vision, and refusing to let other people's opinions rewrite your destiny. Think about the most iconic comebacks in history. The ones we admire, the ones that move us. They aren't filled with speeches or revenge plots. They're filled with transformation. The person who got back up, trained harder, learned more, came back stronger and need to say a word because their results shouted everything the critics needed to hear. That's the kind of story you're writing when you choose growth over grudge, effort over ego. There's a time to speak and a time to move in silence. And often the most powerful seasons of our lives are the quiet ones, the ones where nobody sees the hustle. Nobody sees the tears, the setbacks, the long nights. But that's where champions are built. In the unseen, in the uncelebrated, in the quiet discipline of those who are more committed to their purpose than their pride. Those who understand that revenge is a distraction, but improvement is a legacy. You don't have to respond to every critic. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to correct everyone who misunderstands you. Your path is too important for that. Your calling is too big to get caught up in petty battles. Keep your eyes on your future. Keep your focus on the growth. Because when you arrive at the place they said you'd never reach, your presence will speak volumes. Your peace will preach. Your success will settle every score you thought needed settling. Success is the quiet roar that silences every voice that tried to hold you back. It's not about ego or arrogance, it's about evolution. You rising into the fullness of who you were created to be. And when you get there, when you're living in that overflow, the critics won't matter. They won't even be in the room. Turn pain into fuel for personal growth. It's not just a comforting phrase, it's a powerful mindset shift. Because life will hurt. People will disappoint you. Situations will break you down. You'll be rejected, misunderstood, left behind. But what you do with that pain, that's where the transformation begins. You can let it define you, or you can let it refine you. You can let it stop you, or you can let it strengthen you. Pain is inevitable, but growth is optional. The ones who rise aren't the ones who avoid pain, they're the ones who use it. Pain, in its rawest form, is energy. It's powerful. It disrupts, it shakes, it demands your attention. Most people run from it, numb it, hide it. But those who grow, those who evolve, they lean into it. They sit with the hurt long enough to learn the lesson. They allow the discomfort to show them what needs to be healed, what needs to be changed, what needs to be left behind. Pain becomes their mirror, and from that honest reflection, a stronger version of themselves begins to emerge. Every setback is a setup for strength if you're willing to see it that way. That heartbreak didn't come to destroy you. It came to awaken you. That betrayal didn't come to break your spirit. It came to redirect your path. That failure didn't show up to humiliate you. It showed up to humble you and prepare you for something greater. But you have to make that choice. You have to decide that you're not going to waste your pain. That you're not going to let the tears, the trials, the sleepless nights be in vain. You're going to use it. You're going to rise with it. Pain has a way of revealing who you are and what you're made of. It exposes the weaknesses, the insecurities, the doubts you've been hiding. But it also uncovers your grit, your resilience, your unshakable determination. And once you see that in yourself, you can never unsee it. You realize that what was meant to bury you actually built you. What tried to silence you actually sharpened your voice. What tried to hold you back actually pushed you forward. There's a fire that comes from being wounded, but still standing. That fire, that internal resolve, becomes the fuel for greatness. It's not loud. It doesn't always look impressive on the outside, but deep inside, something powerful is burning, a quiet determination that says, I will not waste this. I will turn this pain into power. And every time you show up, every time you keep going when you don't feel like it, that fire grows stronger. Growth isn't comfortable. It requires stretching, shedding, letting go of familiar patterns and safe excuses. And pain forces that process. It pushes you out of complacency. It drives you to ask deeper questions, to make harder choices, to confront truths you've been avoiding. That discomfort is the birthplace of transformation. You're not just changing, you're being forged like metal in the fire. It's hot, it's painful, but it's necessary to become who you were meant to be. The greatest breakthroughs often come on the other side of the deepest pain. That's not a coincidence, it's a pattern. Because pain opens the door to empathy. It teaches you patience. It humbles your ego. It makes you kinder, wiser, more compassionate. You start to understand that growth isn't about impressing people. It's about becoming someone who can handle the weight of your own purpose. And sometimes the only way to build that kind of strength is to be broken first. Don't run from what hurts you. Don't bury it. And don't pretend it didn't matter. Acknowledge it, own it, and then rise above it. Use it as the catalyst that drives you forward. Let it remind you what you're capable of. Let it shape your vision. Let it sharpen your focus. Because when you learn to harness your pain, you become unstoppable. You're no longer just surviving, you're evolving. You're transforming that wound into wisdom, that hardship into hunger, that loss into leverage. People will look at your growth and not see the pain behind it. They won't know what it cost you to become who you are. And that's okay. Because the real reward isn't recognition, it's redemption. It's knowing that what tried to break you built you. That what was meant to be the end of your story became the turning point. That instead of staying stuck in bitterness, you chose better. You chose growth. You chose to take that pain. And instead of letting it crush you, you let it carry you higher. Focus on progress, not payback. When we're hurt, betrayed, or overlooked, there's a natural urge to get even, to show them, to prove a point, to make someone feel what we felt. But that instinct, as human as it is, keeps us tethered to the pain. It keeps us looking back, rehearsing the offense, replaying the moment over and over again. And as long as your eyes are locked on revenge, they can't be focused on your growth. Your energy, your time, your vision, all of it gets hijacked by something that won't actually serve your future. Payback might feel good for a moment, but it never lasts. It's a temporary hit of satisfaction that fades, often leaving you emptier than before. Why? Because you weren't designed to live on spite. You were built for purpose, for progress, for evolution. And when you channel your energy into becoming better instead of getting even, everything changes. You start moving in the direction of your destiny instead of staying stuck in the drama of your past. Progress is the long game. It requires patience, consistency, and focus. It asks you to keep showing up when no one is clapping, to keep building when no one is watching, to keep healing even when the wound still aches. It's not flashy like revenge. It doesn't always get noticed right away, but it's real. It's solid. It's the kind of victory that lasts. Because it's not about defeating someone else, it's about discovering who you're capable of becoming. When you prioritize growth over getting even, something powerful happens. You stop letting other people control your emotions. They no longer get to dictate your pace or your peace. You take your power back not by lashing out, but by leveling up. By choosing progress, you're saying, I value my future more than I value a moment of satisfaction. That's strength, that's wisdom, that's leadership over your own life. There's a discipline to focusing on progress. It's not always exciting. Sometimes it's slow. Sometimes it's invisible. You're doing the work behind the scenes, changing your habits, upgrading your mindset, making choices that align with your goals. And maybe the people who hurt you never apologize. Maybe they never see how far you've come. But you do. You know the difference between who you were and who you're becoming. That quiet transformation, that's your reward. Payback keeps you in the same cycle. Progress breaks the cycle. It turns you into someone who no longer needs revenge to feel validated. Someone who's too focused on building a better life to worry about what someone else said or did. That's not weakness, that's freedom. You're not escaping the pain, you're outgrowing it. You're rising above the noise, not because you're ignoring it, but because it no longer deserves your attention. It takes maturity to say, I could get even, but I'd rather get better. That mindset is rare. But it's what separates the average from the exceptional. The average person reacts. The exceptional person redirects. They take the energy that could have been spent on retaliation and invest it in development. They decide that their legacy will not be written by the actions of others, but by their own response. Think about it, how many people stay stuck in bitterness because they can't let go of the need to get back at someone. They waste years replaying scenarios, imagining comebacks, holding grudges. And all that time they could have been building something beautiful. They could have been learning, growing, becoming. But they let resentment become their ruler. You don't have to live that way. You can choose differently. You can choose progress. And here's the truth, your progress is the best answer to the pain. Every step forward silences the past a little more. Every new level you reach becomes proof that you didn't let what happened to you stop you. You let it shape you, refine you, and push you. And even if no one ever apologizes, even if no one ever acknowledges your growth, that doesn't matter, because you'll know. You'll carry that strength, that resilience in everything you do. And it will speak louder than any revenge ever could. Let your transformation be your testimony. When you've been through struggle, when you face pain, setbacks, rejection, what you become, on the other side of it isn't just for you. It's a story that speaks even when you don't. It's proof that growth is possible, healing is real, and purpose can rise from broken places. You don't have to shout about your past or convince people of your change. Just let your life show it. Let your peace speak where there used to be pain. Let your confidence show where there used to be insecurity. Let your transformation be the evidence of everything you've overcome. People may not have believed in you. They might have counted you out, spoken against you, or laughed at your dreams. That's okay. Because what they think doesn't define your worth, what you become does. When you commit to growing, to changing, to doing the deep internal work, you begin to walk in a new kind of power. Not loud, not aggressive, but undeniable. Because when people see you thriving in the very area you were once broken, that speaks louder than any argument. You don't need revenge. You don't need validation. Your transformation says it all. Your testimony isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. It's not about pretending you were never hurt. It's about showing that you didn't stay there, that you rose anyway, that you learned, healed, and kept going, that you refused to let your past define your future. When people look at you, they should see resilience. They should see a person who didn't quit when it got hard, who didn't crumble under criticism, who didn't let bitterness win. That's what inspires. That's what impacts. That's what transforms not only your life, but others' lives too. The truth is, you never know who's watching. There are people silently observing how you handle adversity, how you bounce back, how you carry yourself after failure, after disappointment. And when they see you evolve, when they witness the glow up that came from your darkest season, they begin to believe maybe they can do the same. Your growth becomes their permission. Your healing becomes their hope. You're not just transforming for you, you're blazing a trail for someone else. You don't have to explain why you've changed. You don't have to justify your peace, your boundaries, your new direction. Just live it. Let your habits speak. Let your choices reflect your new mindset. The ones who are meant to see it will. The ones who aren't, I'll let them talk. Your transformation isn't for applause. It's for alignment. It's for stepping fully into the life you were meant to live. And when you're in that space, even your silence carries weight. Transformation doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle. It's in the way you no longer react to negativity. It's in the way you speak to yourself now with kindness, not criticism. It's in the discipline you practice daily, in the peace you carry in your spirit. You don't have to post it or preach it. Just walk in it. And over time, people will start to notice. They'll see the difference. And whether they admit it or not, they'll respect it. Every season of your life has a purpose. Even the ones that felt like they were only filled with pain. Those seasons were planting something in you, strength, wisdom, depth. And now your transformation is the fruit of that planting. You went through it, but you grew through it. And now you carry the authority of experience. The quiet confidence of someone who's faced the fire and came out refined. That's your testimony. Not that you avoided struggle, but that you allowed it to shape you into something better. There will always be people who doubt your change, who try to drag you back into who you used to be. Don't waste time trying to convince them. Just keep showing up as the new version of you. Keep walking in your truth. Keep building what they said was impossible. The more you live it, the less you'll need to say. Eventually, your presence will do the talking. Your joy will preach. Your peace will tell the whole story. Transformation is the greatest proof of power. Not the kind that dominates others, but the kind that masters self. The kind that rises without needing to step on anyone else. The kind that doesn't compete because it knows its worth. When you let your transformation be your testimony, you don't chase attention, you attract purpose. You don't beg for acceptance, you walk in authenticity. And every day you choose growth, you're writing a story that speaks louder than words ever could. Elevate your mindset, elevate your life. Everything begins in the mind. The thoughts you dwell on, The beliefs you carry, the stories you tell yourself, those are the forces shaping your reality more than any circumstance ever could. You can have all the talent, all the resources, all the opportunity in the world, but if your mindset is limited, your life will be too. The way you think determines how you move, what you attract, what you tolerate, and ultimately what you become. Your mindset sets the ceiling for your potential, and when you lift that ceiling, everything else begins to rise with it. Too many people stay stuck not because they lack the ability, but because they never change the narrative in their head. They wake up each day with old programming playing on repeat, thoughts of inadequacy, fear, scarcity, and doubt. And those thoughts shape their decisions, their actions, their habits. You can't live a victorious life with a defeated mindset. You can't step into a new future while clinging to old beliefs. Real change starts when you decide that you will no longer let your mind be a dumping ground for negativity and limitation. You have to clean it out, upgrade it, and guard it like your life depends on it, because it does. The most successful people in the world aren't just driven, they're disciplined in their thinking. They know that thoughts are seeds, and whatever they plant consistently will grow. So they plant faith, not fear. Gratitude, not resentment. Vision, not victimhood. And as those seeds take root, their entire lives begin to shift. The doors they once thought were closed start to open. The opportunities they once felt unworthy of start to appear. Not because the world changed, but because their mind did. Elevating your mindset means refusing to stay in the same patterns that kept you small. It means challenging the lies you've believed for years. The ones that say you're not enough, that it's too late, that people like you don't succeed. It means replacing those lies with truth, with power, with perspective. You don't have to be a product of your environment. You don't have to repeat the same story you grew up around. You can break the cycle. But it starts with the belief that you can. And then feeding that belief until it becomes stronger than the doubt. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can always control how you think about it. That's where your power lies. Mindset doesn't make life perfect, it makes you powerful in the face of imperfection. When your mindset is elevated, setbacks become setups. Rejection becomes redirection. Delay becomes development. You start seeing life through a different lens. One that refuses to be a victim and chooses to be a victor, no matter what comes your way. And it's not about toxic positivity. It's not about pretending everything is great when it's not. It's about being honest with your pain, but still choosing to believe there's purpose in it. It's about being aware of the challenge, but also believing in your ability to rise through it. That's what an elevated mindset does. It gives you resilience. It gives you focus. It gives you the courage to keep moving even when nothing around you seems to be changing. An elevated mindset doesn't happen by accident. It's built. It's trained. It's developed one thought at a time. You have to be intentional with what you consume, who you surround yourself with, and how you speak to yourself. You have to catch the thoughts that pull you down and replace them with ones that lift you up. It's daily work. It's not always easy, but the payoff is enormous. Because when your mind is right, your life follows. You stop reacting to everything and start responding with wisdom. You stop settling and start rising. People will wonder what changed. They'll see the way you walk into rooms differently, the way you carry yourself, the way you speak. And they might think it's confidence or charisma or success, but you'll know it's mindset. It's the quiet strength of someone who has decided not to let life happen to them, but to happen through them. Someone who's decided that their thoughts will no longer be a reflection of their fears, but a reflection of their future. When you elevate your mindset, you no longer chase things, you attract them, you align with them. Because your thoughts, your energy, your presence all begin to shift toward growth, abundance, and purpose. And little by little, the outside begins to reflect the inside. Your relationships change. Your opportunities change. Your entire experience of life begins to evolve. Not because the world gave you more, but because your made room for it. Success is the loudest silence. When you truly begin to grow, to evolve, to heal. and to build a life that once felt out of reach. Something shifts not just externally, but internally. You no longer feel the need to argue with those who doubted you. You no longer burn energy trying to convince anyone of your worth. Your accomplishments speak in places where your words once fell flat. The rooms that ignored you begin to notice your absence, not because you made a scene, but because you made a decision to focus on becoming so excellent that you no longer need to be explained. That's the beauty of silent success. It's not loud. It doesn't boast or beg for attention. It doesn't need to drag others down or prove anyone wrong. It simply exists confidently, humbly, and powerfully. It walks into the room and shifts the atmosphere. It radiates from the inside out. Because when you've done the work, when you've cried through the struggle, disciplined yourself through the doubt, and kept showing up when no one was watching, success becomes more than an achievement. It becomes an energy, a presence, a quiet strength that no one can take from you. You see, the people who tried to break you, to dismiss you, to overlook you, they were counting on your reaction. They were expecting you to fold, to lash out, to spiral. But when you chose instead to grow, to stay silent and focused, to build quietly while they talked loudly, that shook them. Because silence is powerful. Silence backed by purpose, by results, by transformation is a thunderstorm that doesn't need to make a sound to be felt. Your success isn't for revenge. It's for redemption. It's for restoration. It's for rewriting the story in a way that honors your growth, not your grudges. There's a freedom that comes when you realize you don't need to announce every win. You don't need to post every step. You don't need to parade your progress just to be seen. Because you're no longer seeking validation, you're living in confirmation that the work is working, that the path is paying off, that your decision to rise in silence was the right one. There's a confidence that develops in private victories. When you start hitting goals you once thought were impossible, when your character deepens, your peace multiplies, and your vision sharpens. When you realize that success isn't just about income or accolades, but about who you become in the process. That's when you understand the power of quiet elevation. You're not just building a life, you're building legacy, integrity, and stability that can't be shaken by outside noise. The world loves spectacle. It rewards flash and drama. But the kind of success that sustains you, that nourishes you, that fulfills you, is not found in loud moments. It's built in the quiet discipline of early mornings, late nights, deep reflection, and consistent action. It's found in the decision to keep moving forward when applause is absent, in the choice to prioritize purpose over popularity, in the realization that impressing others will never satisfy the deep need to respect yourself. You don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to perform to be seen. When your energy is aligned, your focus is sharp, and your heart is clear, what is meant for you will find its way. You become a magnet for opportunities, not because you demanded attention, but because your excellence couldn't be ignored. People begin to take notice not because you asked them to, but because your results made it impossible not to. There's a peace that comes with knowing you've outgrown the need to clap back, to prove a point, to win an argument. You've moved from proving mode to producing mode. You're producing fruit, producing value, producing joy and peace and impact. And while others are still trying to be seen, you've chosen to be solid. While they're performing for attention, you're positioning for purpose. That shift, that inner peace, that's the real success. Some people may never acknowledge your transformation. Some may pretend not to see the growth. That's okay. Because real success doesn't need recognition, it just needs roots. It needs consistency, integrity, and intention. You've been planting seeds in silence, and in due time, the harvest will speak for itself. The people who once overlooked you will have to look again, not because you forced them, but because your life has become undeniable. And that's the loudest silence there is. When you no longer chase approval, when you stop rehearsing pain and start revealing purpose, when your entire existence begins to reflect peace, power, and potential realized, That's the kind of success that doesn't just impress, it inspires. It doesn't just shine, it guides. Because it came from a place of truth, of resilience, of alignment. And nothing is louder than a life well lived in quiet strength and unshakable purpose.